Hey, what's going on, Jack Baits fans? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to JaKKed Live. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all the replay viewers watching this. If you will, give us a share down at the bottom so all your friends can check this video out later on. We're going to have some great content on here. We have a great guest tonight. We've done a couple of these now. This is the third week running yet. And we're going to continue to try to do these every week and give you guys some really good content throughout the year. We got some really good guests lined up from Elite Series anglers, to FLW Tour anglers, Costa Opens, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for some of that. Tonight's guest is Bob Blackerby, and he is a FLW Costa Pro, as well as JaKKed Pro and Baitmate Pro and Mercury Pro, and the list goes on and on and on. But Bob, if you're on here, go ahead and drop a comment down below. For all those of you guys that are on here already, go ahead and what's going on, Mr. LaFoy? Roll Tide, he says. For all you guys that are on here already, go ahead and share this to all your friends so that they get it in their feed and they can jump on here as well. So, hey, Mr. Bob, let's get him in here, invite him in, and this deal kicked off nicely tonight. Guys, if you don't know anything about Jack Baits, we've been around for over 3 years. JaKKed.com, Jack Baits on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. So, hey, Bob.
Hey, Tom.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. What's the weather like down there? It's cold up here.
It's still cool here too. So I've been getting ready today, and it's probably in the 50s.
Yeah.
So
well, that's
anyway,
good.
I'm ready to head somewhere where it's really going to be warm.
Absolutely, down there in Florida for sure. Well, guys, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, FLW Costa Pro, JaKKed Pro, Baitmate Pro, Mercury Pro. Bob, you'll have to enlighten us on the rest of those, but this is Mr. Bob Blackerby, and he lives in Alabama. He's going to be fishing the Costas, the Southeast Division, as well as the Central Division of the Costas this year. So, man, how's it going? Everything getting ready to get kicked off now.
Oh, yeah. I've been working on it for the last couple of days trying to get all my stuff together. So anyway, I'm kind of running a little bit behind between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
We're leaving out a little earlier than normal.
Yeah, that's true. That is true for sure.
I think I about got it.
Well, that's good. I'm sure you'll get there. It's always run, and rush, and then hurry up and wait. So definitely know how that goes. So, guys, we're going to talk about a few different things tonight. First, starting with some tournament prep, going into a little bit of information about Cast for Kids that Bob's involved with, talking with him about some co-angling tips as well, and then just some general discussion. So definitely down there in the comment section, definitely feel free to leave us a comment, ask us some questions, ask Bob some questions. If you guys got any Jack Baits specific questions, feel free to ask about those as well. But we're just going to have a discussion, and we'll roll it from there. But do us a favor and share real quick one more time, and we'll get some more folks in here and get it rolling. So, Bob, what's the first tournament of the year? Where are we going first?
We headed to Okeechobee, pulling out in the morning. So
how many times have you been down there?
And, about 80 degrees.
80 degrees.
Sun, so looking
that
forward
sounds
to that.
Good for most of us, I'm sure. How many times have you been down to Okeechobee now for an event?
A lot. That's probably, I guess, out of from fishing a lot of the Eastern Series tournaments and the Costas. I've probably been to Okeechobee as many times as any other lake we fish on any of the trails. So got a lot of experience down there.
That's good. So you're fishing the Southeast. So where else does that take you after Okeechobee there?
We'll be at Okeechobee first. Second stop for the Southeastern will be at Lake Seminole, and then the last one will be at Santee Cooper.
Good deal.
So, and I may have them backwards. Don't hold me to it, but that's our Southeastern stop. So all good lakes. There ought to be big sacks caught on all of them.
That is true. Sure. You said you're fishing the Centrals as well. So where are we heading on that? I'm going to join you on those. But
we're going to start out at Table Rock. I think it's going to be sometime
Yes, sir.
around April, and then we're going to Barkley
Yep,
in Kentucky, and I think that's going to be sometime
that's right.
around June, and then we're going back to Lake of the
Like the
Ozarks back in
two
the
stops in
fall.
Missouri. I like that. So that's I,
Yeah, you
I
come in
will
there and
be
join
this year
us.
for sure, for sure. So you can count on that. So I'm looking forward to all those, and probably Lake of the Ozarks the most, just because that's my favorite. But other than that, which one are you looking forward to the most out of all six of those?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, I've really been excited about the whole tournament trail. I've been to all of the lakes, so I've only been to Table Rock once, and I've only been to Lake of the Ozarks once. But both times, I just loved that up there in that country, and loved the type of fishing that was, and I look forward to going back to those. The southeastern tournament trail is going to be really tough because all of those lakes are going to produce
Sure.
big bags, and a lot of these guys that fish it have good history on these lakes. So the competition's going to be pretty rough
Yeah.
on them, but it's all going to be fun. I don't know. That's a hard call to have
Yeah.
any one. I guess whichever one produces the best for me, you can ask me
That's
at the
right.
end of the season,
That's
and
right. I hear you.
I'll
Well, the other kicker there is that the old championship, I believe, is at Gunnersville. Am I correct?
So I'll get to come
That's
back to the
right.
home lake.
Don't
So
get to fish at home
that's what
throughout
we're
the year, but
driving
you
for.
fish there for the championship, and that's a good deal probably for
That's
you.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I'll make it.
it's from what I understand, it can be a little tough there, there in the fall like that. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. You've got that late summer spell that hits, and there's a window in there of about a couple of months in there. It's
Sure.
pretty tough. So, but when the Costa comes, it should be in pretty
Yeah.
good shape. So should be some pretty
Well,
good
good.
bags caught whenever the
I'm sure
championship
looking
comes.
forward to it. That's for sure. So. Well, tell us. I know you've been prepping to get down to Okeechobee. Walk us through some of your game plan, and or not game plan yet, but walk us through some of what you've been doing to get ready. And for some of you folks that fish tournaments and travel, a lot of this stuff will be kind of common knowledge to you. But we got a lot of guys on here, gals on here that don't know anything about this or looking to get into it. So tell us what goes on and all the preparation that you're doing just to make before you even make a cast.
Yeah. Well, I guess a lot of it's knowing the history of the lake, knowing kind of having some idea of what kind of type baits you're going to be throwing, and how you need to rig up your rods. So of course I've been working on that today, putting new line on rods and ripping off all the fluorocarbon that I've had from Lake of
Yep.
the Ozarks and putting on 65-pound braid, all day today. So uh, working on that, different types of jigs, just different setups that I deal with that. I like to go through my boat. I like to go through the tackle, make sure, I take out some of my stuff that I know that I won't need to kind of lighten the boat up, and try to put in things that I know I will need or think that I might need. So been trying to go through a lot of that and get a lot of that prepared, and plus just go over the boat in general from front to back. I've been checking batteries and just everything. Got everything cleaned up. I like for it to be shining
Oh
whenever
yeah.
I get rolling into town. So we got everything shined up and
Yep.
ready to
That
pull
wrap looks
out.
a whole lot better cleaned up than it does, all dirty like you
Yeah,
were
it
running through a
does.
mud puddle. That's for
Uh,
sure. So, well, good deal, man. So from tackle and from the boat, I mean, obviously you got to get the truck ready to go as well, and get all your deposits paid and or entries paid at least, and kind of go through all that stuff and get that done. So I know that that's a big time consuming part of this whole deal, and like you said, with them starting it a little earlier this year, it seems like that obviously gets you on your heels pretty quick coming out of Christmas time for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When we got done with Lake of the Ozarks, in the late fall, we got a little window in there of a few months that we really, not a whole lot
Sure.
going on. So that's usually a critical time to try to get your sponsors tied down for the next year. Figure out your schedules, try to get a game plan for what you're going to do next year, and try to get those deposits paid and try to get everything, have
Oh
everything
yeah,
ready to go. So
absolutely. So I know you're working with JaKKed, working with BaitMate, of course. Tell us a few of your other sponsors that you work with, and then tell us what BaitMate's all
uh,
about too.
well, I can start out with BaitMate. BaitMate's my title sponsor. BaitMate's been wonderful to me for the last couple of years. Uh, uh, I feel like a rock star riding around in that wrapped up
Oh
truck
yeah,
and boat, and it definitely turns the heads whenever it's out there. But great folks there. They've got a great product. They've got a great heartbeat for the fishing industry. They're trying to come out with new things and new ideas, and we've got a chapstick applicator coming out now called a bite stick. It should come out this year. You should start seeing a lot of that. They're now beginning to infuse their scents now in a biodegradable bait, and we're going to start seeing that come out now in a BaitMate ultra live baits, and you'll see me running that this year on my wrap. I've got that now added to the wrap on the truck and the
absolutely.
boat, so we're excited about that product
Yep.
coming
And
out too.
BaitMate,
So.
Bob, tell
Uh,
us for some of the guys and gals on here that don't know what it even is. Tell us what BaitMate is.
Well, BaitMate's a fish attractant, and just like a lot of us use different colors, and some people don't use a fish attractant, a scent type stuff on their baits, but it's pretty critical, at least it is to me. And the good thing about being with the company of BaitMate is they target Pacific, the different fish, the different species of fish. So they've studied it. They've been in the business for a long time, and so they've got some really great
Good
products
deal.
out.
Good deal. Well, who's next on the sponsor list there?
Well, I've got several. I've got another longtime sponsor that's been with me for a long time is Dobbins Rods. I've been a Dobbins guy for a long time. Just man, I love their product. Love when you're fishing every day and out here being competitive at it, you want good equipment and Dobbins rods. I've teamed up in the past couple of years with Ardent Reels, and I've been really pleased with them. And they've got a great product out there. I haven't gotten the new Sea-Force reel, but looking for those to come in any day. I was hoping to have them before I went down here to Okeechobee so I could put them to the test, but hopefully we'll have them at the
Yep.
next stop and we'll get to try them there. So, but that's what my Dobbins and my Ardent reels. I fish with those, and of course, like you said, Ranger boats is another one that I've been with for a long time. Ranger, Mercury, Power Pole, all of them have been behind me for a long time and helped me with my
Sure.
fishing. So very thankful for them. Love my Mercury engine. Man, they saved me on gas. Knock on wood. I hear you hear the stories about the people. Oh, break down here, there.
Sure.
And the different types of motors, but not me, man. I'm running and gunning the whole time, and I hadn't
That's
had a lick of
good.
trouble.
That's good, man.
So,
Well, good deal. Well, take us through kind of what you're thinking, just on a general level. Like I said, I don't want you to divulge a ton of information. Obviously, Mr. Bob's going to be fishing the Costa Series down there at Lake Okeechobee next week. So, obviously, there's several people on here I'm sure that would be interested to know exactly what you're doing. However, let's talk about some general stuff that's going to go on down there, or what's gone on in the past anyway, or what's going on there now. We talked about it a little earlier. Um, the difference in conditions and things like that.
yeah. Well, the interesting thing is I hate to say it, but I really don't know. Like I said, I've probably been to Okeechobee as many times as I've been anywhere else. And out of anything that I've ever learned from going to Okeechobee is you really don't know Okeechobee
Sure.
till you get there. It changes from year to year. and I have been kind of doing a little bit of homework and talking to some my fishing buddies that's already gotten down there. And the way I'm taking it from listening to them, they're telling me that the lake's extremely high, probably higher than I'm anticipating it being higher water levels in it than
Sure.
I've ever seen out of all the time that I've ever been down there. And the way I've taken it from listening to them, a lot of the grassy areas that we normally fish
Hmm.
aren't even there. And we've had that hurricane blow across down there, and I think it's done some damage to the lake as far as the grass, but the lake's so big and there's so much there. I mean, it's I say hurt it, but it really hadn't hurt it. We'll be able to find somebody's going to find them. We'll be able to get down there and get on something. But I usually there's a handful of baits that you can throw, and I'm just rigged
Yep.
up with that and kind of what the normal thing is, and I'm gonna go and see what it looks like, and we'll
Yep,
figure it out from
absolutely.
there.
Yeah, with this event kicking off there at Okeechobee and then a tour event there later on in the month, not a couple weeks later, you think there'll be more guys than normal jumping in this first one as far as the tour level guys, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The Costa series, especially the Southeastern, I've said it before. It's probably one of the hardest competitive series that there is out there. From my understanding, they've got a full field of
No
250
kidding.
boats going to be down
Wow.
there, and so it'll be, there'll be some hammers in
No
there. I'm
doubt.
sure they're gonna be wide
Yep.
open
Well,
at
we're
it.
rooting for you for sure. Got a question in here from
For sure.
Devin De La Rosa. He's wondering, how do you go about pre-fishing when a lake has such a big change like that?
Uh, well, that's a good question. I'm going to go from past experience, and a lake that big, I'm going to target about just, I'm going to target just, 4, 5, 6 areas that I'm going to try to just go, and I'm going to try to spend a day in each one of
For
those
sure.
and break them down. And it's definitely a gamble. It's a roll of the dice, and I'm just going to hope that they're going to pay off, and and I'm going to go with the best one that I can feel confident
Yep,
with.
absolutely. And I would think a big key to something like that is just keeping an open mind and kind of fishing what's in front of you, as far as they say, But trying to not let a lot of the past dictate what you're going to do, but keeping that in the back of your mind to kind of feed off of that and learn from that. But obviously when conditions change, Devin, from my experience, and I'm sure Bob can echo this, but is just making sure you're fishing what what's in front of you. I mean, that's as easy
Yeah.
as it is, and it sounds easy and complicated all at the same time, but that's just the way it is. So, Mr. Kevin Franklin says, "Do you fish the southern end of the Big O?"
I have went down to South Bay and Pelican Bay, and this time we're actually going out of the Kissimmee River up at Scott Driver Park, and we're not going out of Clewiston. Generally, when we go out of Clewiston on the south end, they get hit pretty hard, but I may spend a day down there in those areas. I'm not sure right now. Like I said, I'm gonna kind of have to get down there and kind of see what the places
Sure.
look like that I'm wanting to go look to see, because had a guy call me today, and he actually said that he went up in the Hardy Pond area, and I know if any of you's been there before, you just kind of go in there and you see grass, lily pads topped out, and all right around all in there amongst it. But he says it's all open water now.
Hmm.
Everything's underwater, so so I don't know. And the hay fields down there, I'd be anxious to see what they like. I don't even know if they're there. It may
Yeah,
all be water.
yeah,
So I
that's
don't
a
know.
couple feet on that pond's a big swing, I'd say. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Morgan Beaver says, "Have you left yet?" No, Bob's still at home. Sounds like you're heading out tomorrow morning. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. Pulling out tomorrow. We're going to make me and my buddy Barry Wilson's going to travel together, and we're going to make a stop he's got to stop and have a little bit of work done on his truck, and then we're going to try to ease down to about Valdosta, Georgia, and probably spend the night, and then we're going to slide on down that
There
way
you go.
Friday morning.
There you go. Good deal. Well, I think so. Talking about a couple of baits that are pretty typical down there this time of the year. What are we going to have top two baits tied on probably as far as what's normal pattern
Well,
goes?
I've got two baits here now. I actually got a swim jig. One I got you to make up for me
There
here the
you
other
go.
day, and looking forward to throwing that. Usually the swim baits are usually uh, pretty good down there. Anything you can find in a golden shiner type colors and the black and blues, that seems to be a better color. You know, previous experience for me, the black and blues, June bug type colors, stuff like that. They seem to do really
Sure.
good down there. Uh, uh, Another bait that I've got rigged up is the
There
drunk
you go.
punch, and got it rigged up, and I'm sure I'll be pitching it around some of those heavier
Yep.
mats and seeing what I can pull out in
There you
there.
go.
So
Yeah, guys, that drunk
uh,
punch, I don't know how many of you guys know about it, but it is a big hunk of lead there. This happens to be an ounce and a half. But this is a triangular shaped bait here. You can kind of see more on that end. But basically, you're dropping this through the thick stuff and got a big old gaff of a hook on the back and going to yank them out. So that's what he was talking about there. And then of course our swim jig. This particular one's just a white head, but um, real narrow style bullet shaped head with the weight below the hook mostly. And obviously this bait is made for fishing through grass, through cover, stuff like that. And that's really what traditional Okeechobee is fishing through that heavier matted up grass and sparse grass pads, things like that. So good stuff. Well, what do you think? We'll have one more little question here on Okeechobee, and we'll kind of move on. But what do you think the winning weight's going to be for the 3 days?
oh wow,
Hitting you with all the good ones
uh,
tonight, huh?
yeah. I don't know. Uh, with the water conditions being up like they are, it's just really hard to say going down there. Generally, if you get 18 to 20 pounds a day, you're going to be really you're going to be up there in that at least the top
Sure.
10. I know. So, and very possibly probably could bring in the win with it, but I don't know. It could be better this year. I
Sure.
don't know.
Well, stay
So
tuned, guys. Next week we're gonna do what does it start? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. So Wednesday, we'll do a guess the weight contest, and we'll see what you all think about the weights there, and we'll give away a couple jigs or something like that, and do it that way. What rod, I guess, length and action are you throwing on that swim jig?
I am throwing the Dobbins, and I'm throwing a seven. A s- let's see, that's a 745
Okay.
is what that is, and the 5 power on that rod. It's a pretty heavy duty rod. It's 7 foot and 4 inches. I like a little bit of a longer rod because most of what you're doing down there, you're throwing extremely far away. You're making an extremely long cast. So I like that leverage in that
Sure.
long rod, and I like that 5 power in there because I want to be able to muscle them fish out of there. If they get you tangled up in that grass, you need to be able to
Yep.
muscle them out of there. So most of them have 65 pound braid on them. So I'm gonna winch them out of there
Yep.
whenever they
And I
get
know
it.
you're hands down a great swim jig fisherman, so I know if they're biting it, you ought to be catching them for sure. But what what
I
kind
hope
of
so.
are you pretty much the same on your retrieve most of the time, or are you cracking it as they say, or just swimming it, or what makes sense? And I don't necessarily need to know specifically Okeechobee, but just in general.
Well, I mean, no, it's a good question, and like here in Alabama, I like to twitch, I like to twitch it, and and dance it through that grass, and it seems to be a you get a whole, it seems to get a lot more better reaction bite to it. But, most of the other lakes, and especially like going down there, it's just really just a slow,
Is that
steady
right?
retrieve. And I may change up that trailer. I've got the uh, the Zoom Ultra Vibe, the Magnum Ultra
Yep.
Vibe on here, but I may put a skinny dipper on there. Maybe in a something like the gold type
Sure.
skinny dipper or something on there. And pull it too. But from my experience down there, they just kind of like it if you just kind of just slow, steady retrieve it and let it just kind of beat
Yeah,
itself
I
off
was
that
gonna say,
grass.
what do you
So
think the difference is? I mean, obviously you've done a lot more swim jigging than I have, but I mean, why would it be so different?
I don't know. I know. Here in Alabama, it seems to be, like we fish on the Coosa River chain. It's just more
Hmm.
out for that reaction. You trying to get that thing through there. And I know the way I do it. I like to cover as much. I like for it to move as much as possible, but at the same time, I want it to come through the least amount of water. I try to keep as much motion as I can coming through the
Sure.
least distance of water.
Keep it into that strike
So,
zone a little longer, I
but
guess, huh?
I want to keep it in there, and I want to have that thing
Yep.
dancing like crazy.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
Brad Dunkerley says twitching on Gville is the way to go with the swim jig, and that's definitely what you're echoing there, as far as Alabama goes. So.
yeah.
For sure. Well, man, I appreciate all the insight on Okeechobee, and we'll all be rooting for you for sure on that deal. And um, next thing I want to chat about real quick is, at JaKKed, it's been kind of a secondary theme the last couple of weeks. We kind of just dove right into it, and kind of by accident the first time, and then we kind of come out with a little bit more about it. But is jack baits and what we are all about as far as the kids fishing goes, and our last two guests, Micah and um, over there, Zach. I'm sorry. They both talked about taking kids fishing, and Bob, you're the exact same. I know you do a Cast for Kids tournament every year the last few years. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I got started into that probably about 5 or 6 years ago. A friend of mine, Scott Canterbury, he called and they were looking for boat captains to go up to Lake Gunnersville, and he asked me if I'd be willing to go up there and work this event. And uh, with Jeff Barnes. Jeff Barnes is our director up there, and I, I I did and went up there and just had a blast, and was really touched by that, being able to go out there on the water. And what it is, it's Cast for Kids event, and like I say, I've been doing it about 5 or 6 years, and these kids are handicapped, have this, some of them disabled, and have different issues, and a lot of them never been in a boat, never been fishing, never caught a fish, and you get the opportunity to go up and you carry them out, maybe a family member out with them, and carry them out on Gunnersville for a few hours, and try to get them to catch a fish. But really, they just having
Oh
fun
yeah,
just being there. And but we a lot of us, we look around, we think we got issues and we got trouble, and and our life ain't just right. But I tell you, when you go up there with those guys and you go out, it really humbles you and it brings you
sure.
back. So I've really enjoyed it and look forward to it now. It's not an issue anymore of calling and wanting to know when. It's just call me and tell
Yep.
me what the date is. I'm gonna
Yep.
plan on being there.
Absolutely. It
So
definitely takes you away from the competition of the game and the sport, and just kind of brings you back to, like you said, just bring you back to where you started. And all these kids just want to learn how to fish. And like I said, that's something that we're really heavy about here at JaKKed, and just trying to get as many kids out fishing as we can, and really trying to promote that, because obviously if they're out fishing, spending money on fishing tackle, this stuff's not cheap. They ain't gonna be spending on other things that are not good for them. So beyond that, obviously, like you said, with the kids with this cause here, they don't have the opportunity to do that very often, and that definitely is a awesome deal for sure.
it it's a great event too, because I tell you, Jeff Barnes is our director up there, and my hat's off to him, because I mean we usually average about
Is that
40
right?
kids, and
Oh yeah,
which that's a lot. And we'll have 40 guys up there, and we serve them hot dogs. He's got prizes for each and every one of them. Each and every one of them gets a plaque, and every one of them gets to come up on stage. We get up on stage with them, and so we get to cut up with them and have a good time. It's really
absolutely.
fun.
Well,
So, and those events are uh, they're put on
sure.
all over, so you can go online to Cast for Kids and check out. And there may be an event somewhere close to you, and I promise you, if you get started in on it, you'll get hooked just like
Absolutely.
I am.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you doing that every year for sure. And I know they do too. So that's awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to transition back to the tournament scene. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Again, we're talking with the FLW Costa Pro, Bob Blackerby, tonight, just before he heads out to Okeechobee tomorrow. So feel free to ask any questions related to anything we've talked about or even something else. He's from Alabama, so gets to fish a lot of those lakes as well as travels all around the country to go fishing. So any questions you have is definitely he's willing to answer for sure. So one thing I had from earlier that someone asked me if we'd talk about on this is kind of some co-angler tips. So I guess more than just maybe just some tips on fishing, but also just etiquette, things like that that you can kind of take that and run with it a little bit, and let me know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I guess I've had a lot of co-anglers in the boat with me, fishing the type fishing, from the BFL level up through, fishing what I fish, and I have fished as a co-angler as well in the back of the boat, and uh, but I guess tips that I would have to tell people a few things. I guess as far as being productive, I see a lot of guys that get in the boat with me and they want to try to duplicate what I do, and they try to throw the same bait at the and you, sometimes that works. If I'm if you've got the confidence in that bait like
Sure.
I've got in it, and you're throwing it, if you'll probably do well. But it seems to me that the more people that I have in my boat that do good, and I've had them in there that a lot of them in there will beat me, in the boat, but a lot of them will be throwing something totally different. Just say if I'm out on an open area doing, throwing a big jig or something on something, a lot of them will, hook up a Carolina rig or a shaky head or throw a crankbait, just try to do something different than what I'm doing. And that seems to be more successful to them. And, unless you just really convinced that your pros dialed in on that bait that good, I wouldn't throw that same thing. And I guess another big tip that I'd have to tell for a co-angler is don't aggravate your boater. uh, I've had some really aggressive co-anglers in the boat with me that really want to like front boat me. You want to throw,
Sure.
where I'm at, and most of the time I'm in open stuff where, they can throw too. And, but if you just go out there and everybody, just tries to relax, have a good time, fish, it usually works out a whole lot better. I know a lot of times if you get your boater frustrated and all, he can make it rough on you,
Oh yeah.
believe it or not. So,
That's for sure. That's definitely
and it
something I
doesn't
can
make for a
I
good
can
day.
echo there is that, making sure that you kind of let them lead, let the boater lead, and
Yeah.
if they want to, if they're real chitty chatty, then that's all, obviously talk a bunch, but if they're all
Every time I've ever had a co-angler, I
yeah.
want them to do
Oh
good. I
yeah.
want them to do good. Just as much as I want to do good for myself. And I think most of the guys out there, the top-notch guys, I think that's the way they are. And I know whenever I was fishing co-angler, I've been in the boat with a lot of the top name guys, and most of them that's kind of
Yep.
the way they were. And I've actually had some of the top ranked co-anglers fish with me I know like this past year, and I was kind of intimidated whenever I drove them out, and was thinking, man, I hate that he's going to be in the boat with me. I mean, and but at the end of the day, I was just as amazed by them as the days that I was fishing co-angler, in the boat with those big pros. I mean, some of the guys that I've been in there with that I know it's really good. Like I say, they never threw the same thing that I threw. They were very cordial and helpful to me. They wanted me to
Sure.
catch fish just as much as I wanted
Right.
them to catch
I think
fish.
it's a
And so never tried to throw into my area and all that. It just made for a
Yep,
really good day.
absolutely. And I think that's the best attitude to have is, to me, fishing the Costas and things like that as a co, I think the best thing the way you can think about it is that it's a team tournament, but you need 10 fish. And if you're
Yeah,
working together, trying to help each other out, making sure you're there with the net, making sure you're not in their way, it goes both ways. And it really, if you think about it as a team, you're both out there for the same mission. And I think that's really a key to the whole deal for sure. So. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that for sure. Micah Easterly says if a co can make all of his tackle fit in one box behind the seat and keep his rods all organized, that'll make the whole experience better. Yeah, I definitely would agree with that for sure. And that's something that
and
go
that's
on, you're fine.
that that's me too. I leave the box behind my seat. I leave it open, and and I try to tell them, if you got your stuff, bring it. And I don't care. They can bring whatever
Sure.
rods they want. I want them to. I want them to
Right.
be prepared, and a lot of times I'll tell them ahead of time. Hey, if I've got something that you need,
Sure.
let me know. If I've got it and you can use it, I'll be
Yep,
glad to get you one.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's just from a productive standpoint for the co-angler too. I mean, if you got 10 rods over there, it ain't gonna work. You need to limit that down so that you're not fighting them all day because you get more than five or six over there, and it's a cluster for sure. And bringing
Yeah.
all the tackle in the world is sometimes a real bad negative too. I think just having a few things that are a little bit different and a variety of things is really where you can shine and really do well. So absolutely. Sorry about that. I was getting a phone call. But anyway, I appreciate those sentiments on the co-angler. One other question we had here: what's one body of water that you've always wanted to fish but haven't had the chance to yet?
Wow. I would love, and I mean, and I think of about three or four
Okay.
right offhand, and uh, the California lakes out there, the Delta and Clear Lake. I mean, those two right there
Yep.
come to mind, and then I think about some of the Texas lakes like Balkan and Armistead. Man, anywhere where I could go and just catch
There you
monster
go.
bass. I
Yeah.
mean, uh,
Absolutely. Well, guys,
uh,
feel free to comment down there. What's the one lake you guys want to fish that haven't had the chance to? That'd be interesting to see some of those comments. But gentleman that was asking Devin, he's from California, so I assume he was fishing for that one to see if
yeah.
you'd say California Delta or Clear Lake or something like that for sure. So, um, absolutely. Mr. Gary Schultz, coach says. When do you use the dock rock as compared to the new finesse jig? So, guys, for those of you that don't know, we just come out with the KP Power Finesse jig. This deal is a mega hook in there. You can see the size of that hook. It's got a couple flat spots on the bottom. Got a great cone keeper on it. But and then as compared to the dock rock, which is a more like an archy style head, more of a flat skipping head. Um, but Bob, when would make more sense for you to use the new jig, the KP jig versus the dock rock?
Well, the KP jig would probably be more. I mean, I would tend to use it just kind of like in the same type situations I might would throw a shaky head. I kind of say that. Let me say this. The dot rock. I'm more into blow down trees and piers and things like that, I'm going to be more out to target that dock rock around stuff like that, types of
Sure.
structure and stuff like that. The finesse jig, I'm probably going to be a little bit more on those harder rocky banks, and a little bit more of a shallower application to those places like that. I mean, you can still throw it around the docks and stuff. I just feel a little more comfortable with that, with the dock rock, skipping it around those jigs and the
Yeah.
docks and stuff, and all. The finesse jig, I've just always been a little bit more on the finesse jig, throwing it around the rocky points and seawalls and
Sure.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
So
know for us up here, and you come to the lake in the fall, Ozarks, the Dock Rock is the number one player. I mean, you guys seen that was one of the top, you know, 4 guys in the top 20 cashed a check on this particular bait, just skipping it around the docks. But now I think especially either when it gets cold, like it is right now, I find myself transitioning to this little finesse jig much more often than I'm throwing the dock rock, just for a smaller profile. You can still use the right, the same kind of line and equipment and all that stuff, but you're able to fish this jig, and like with that big hook. I mean, that's the reason why we designed it, is so you can fish around the docks, and like you said, even just around the seawalls and the rock points and things like that. But being able to not have to worry about that jig hook flexing out was a big key for this bait. But Gary, I think the biggest thing is just a profile change as well. Obviously, if you are throwing this finesse jig, just more of a small, compact trailer, everything you got there as far as that goes. You can tell the difference between this finesse jig, and I'm gonna stick one of these hooks in here for this dock rock, but it's a big profile change, and I'm going to be using a bigger trailer with this dock rock rather than the finesse jig, and more of a small compact deal. But you can just tell right there looking at it what the difference in that profile is. So that totally makes
yeah,
sense there for sure. But we got some answers here to that. Falcon, Lake of the Ozarks, Mille Lacs, all the Florida lakes, Mille Lacs, Falcon. So Mille Lacs and Falcon, how about that? Those are the two that we come up with here on the question or the comments down there. So, well, Bob, I really appreciate your time tonight. I know you got some more things to do to get packed up and get ready to go tomorrow. Any final thoughts for us at all?
y'all stay tuned. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram on here. Hopefully, for the end of the week, I'm gonna show you a big old bass I'm gonna catch on this Jack swim jig out there in Lake Okeechobee. So follow me on here and stay tuned, and we'll see
Yep,
what
absolutely.
happens.
So he's Bob Blackerby Fishing on Instagram, Bob Blackerby Fishing on Facebook. So go check him out. His link is, I think we tagged him on the Instagram post, and then it's also tagged on the Facebook post. So go check him out. Follow him all throughout the year. A couple people said, I think I learned a lot tonight. Thank you. So we really appreciate your time, Bob, and I hope everyone has a great night. Stay tuned next week. Guest is unannounced so far, but we will get you announced on that. And Bob, good luck this week and next weekend at Okeechobee.
Thank you.
And make sure you get out there and jack a couple big ones for us, and take some photos so everybody can see it. And we'll see maybe a little video to come later on in the week. So. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again, Bob. And remember, don't just hook them,
Thank
jack
you.
them. See you guys.